Hi everybody, this is Cassandra from Cassandra Tyndall Astrology. I just wanted to do this quick video for you today to discuss a little bit about Venus square Saturn, which is an aspect that's in play throughout the month of April. And so what's poignant about this Venus square Saturn aspect today is that Venus is no longer retrograde. She's been traveling backwards through the Zodiac for the last 6 weeks. So it started in the sign of Aries and she's backtracked into Pisces today, where she has stationed and is about to move forward through those last few degrees of Pisces and then back into Aries. One of the biggest things about April is the fact that she is spending nearly the entirety of this month making a tricky square to Saturn. And so Saturn rules things like limits, duty and obligation. So a little bit the opposite of what Venus rules, because she's all about pleasure and fun and relationships, whereas Saturn's a little bit about duty, obligation, and all the things that you should do before you enjoy anything to do with pleasure. And so when these two planets come together by this tricky aspect that we call a square, it's calling for action. It's calling for the need to adjust. It may feel that something hasn't been quite right in your relationships or in the way that you enjoy yourself or have fun. And so when during the Venus period, the Venus retrograde period, got all these Mercury retrograde bloopers going on here. So when Venus is retrograde, what she's inviting you to do is to pause and to reflect and reassess. Reassess the value of the relationships that you're in, not only the romantic ones, but also our friendships, our business relations, and any Venus-ruled houses in your own birth chart too, of course. And so we've just sort of come out of this period of reflection. We've had a period of reevaluating what it is that we really want out of love, out of romance, and out of pleasures as well. And so whatever pleasure means for you. And so now that Venus is stationed direct, she's at a really intense and potent place in the Zodiac. Not only is she stationed, which gives a planet that intensity anyway, she's also at what we call her exaltation degree. So she's in her very special place in the Zodiac right now. Though in the process of coming out of this retrograde phase, it's like when you've been sick for a period of time, you've been bedridden, and you finally start to feel like you're getting a little bit better, and then you decide to go to the kitchen and make yourself a piece of toast or something like that. And so Venus is on that road to recovery, but she's not ready to run a marathon just yet. And so we're starting to be able to perhaps voice or act upon this new way that we have approaching our relationships or our business relationships or the things that we do for fun and pleasure. So after this period of readjustment, reassessment, we're kind of like looking at things through fresh lens or a fresh perspective now. And so during this Venus retrograde phase, and with this square to Saturn that is still in play until the end of April, there's a friction between, maybe this square is also about awareness or taking action around any fears that we have around love, any fears that we may have, or any barriers that hold us back from loving freely and from loving openly, and perhaps even loving compassionately, particularly while Venus is still in Pisces. And so it is calling that something needs adjusting. There's enough friction, enough tension that something needs to give. And as of late April, so the 28th in Australian time, she's going to move back into forthright, pioneering, impulsive and energetic Aries. So during the time while she's still in Pisces, it's still a little bit of a phase of caution or compassion and taking your time and really feeling your feelings. And so during this period, it also might be about setting healthy boundaries around love. It might also be about drawing that proverbial line in the sand. This is what I'm prepared to put up with and this is what I'm not. We can also find that It might also be about extending that olive branch, especially if you have retracted from your loved one, be that a spouse or a child. It might have also been about they've become a little bit more distant from you. And so sometimes the best thing that we can do to engage in self-care or self-love is also to say no. From that place of self-respect, sometimes we do just have to reinforce our boundaries and our limits. And that's been a big part of what this Venus retrograde phase has been about, is really gaining an understanding of where our own personal limits are. And so what I wanted to do for you now is just to go through a quick tour through the Zodiac and give you a little bit of an idea through the houses of where this Venus square Saturn has been taking place for you. So where you're having to decipher what your values are or where your pleasures lie, and forming some boundaries or limitations, or even solidifying things. You know, Saturn also speaks to what lasts. And sometimes we do have to take these little sort of breaks in our relationships or withdraw a little bit and sort of recoup and regroup before we can then give to somebody else. So if you're an Aries or an Aries rising, these two planets have been they're in square throughout the month of April through your 12th and 9th houses. And the way that I describe this is about reformulations of your own personal philosophies. And so through taking some time out, through rest and retreat, you're able to reestablish boundaries around spirituality, perhaps even travel or study, and your relationship to anything that is maybe perhaps religious, or religious for you. It could also talk about the internet, traveling, anything that sort of expands your mind in some way is to do with the 9th house. And the two easiest ways to healthily expand your mind is through study or through travel. And so these are themes that you may have been exploring and will continue to explore a little bit over the course of April. Taurus. And so for Taurus, this is activating your 11th house and your 8th house. So it's really about friends and money, or networks and money, and somehow joint debt or joint finances and your 11th house of friends, groups and associations somehow being connected. So it might be about testing the boundaries or re-establishing some friendships that can maybe be able to help you solidify or gain a foundation around your finances. For Gemini or Gemini rising, this aspect throughout April is activating your 10th house of career and your 7th house of relationships. So it might be bringing in the right people to help you propel forward through your career. It might also might involve saying no to a certain relationship so you can then propel or work towards your career or your goals that you have in terms of your work. Cancer or Cancer rising, it's activating your 9th and 6th house. So one of the ways that I can describe this combination for you is about implementing some time management strategies to help you achieve your wants and desires in regards to traveling, studying, or perhaps even publishing in some way. So whether it's the internet, allowing more time, freeing up some of your time so you can spend more time online if that's the case, or study, or maybe less time online on social media or what have you, so you can study a little bit more. So it's about sort of redefining what it is that you want and setting those time management strategies to reflect that. Leo or Leo rising, this is your 8th house of joint finances or other people's money, and your house of fun and children. So it could be really about stepping back and reassessing how you're spending your money. how you're spending your money for pleasure or entertainment, and is that congruent or helping you with the bigger picture with your financial savings, super or investing future. So if you're going through this phase where you've just been kind of like leaking money, and it's this square might be sort of giving you enough of a losing my words here, Mercury retrograde, but this square might be giving you enough of, that push to act, to go, oh, hang on a minute, I need to perhaps reduce some of my spending on my kids or for fun, for going out, so I can save for the future. Virgo, so we are looking now at your 7th house of relationships and your 4th house of home and family. Okay, so those two topics are pretty much hand in hand. Often relationships and domestic setups do kind of work together. So in order for you to be able to value and enjoy your home environment, it might also be setting some limits or boundaries around your interactions with other people. So if you're a mum and you're needing more sleep, for example, putting baby to bed on time or something along those lines. For Virgos, it could also be about redecorating your home, or wanting to finish some projects around the home that have been on the back burner for a little while now. It might also be about bringing people in that can help you as well. For Libra, it's the 6th house and your 3rd house. So this is about to do with self-care and ritual. And so through this period, you might be feeling that you're a bit run down or losing your mojo a little bit. Remember that Venus is also your ruling planet, so this is also quite important for you. So it might be about sort of restructuring a little bit of your time, reorganizing your schedule, saying no to social or saying no to obligations that you don't need to do. So then you've got a little bit more time for yourself to indulge in some self-care and some rituals. It might also be just the simple act of wanting to catch up on some reading, maybe some podcasts that you'd like to listen to. Siblings is also part of the picture, so you might even just want to catch up with or set some new boundaries or limitations, or set some new rules around your relationship with siblings too. Scorpio, so this is activating your 5th house of fun, pleasure and children, and your 2nd house of cash flow. So it is about maybe saying no to kids, saying, no, I've spent enough money on you, no more chocolate for Easter time and stuff like that. So it's about maybe reducing or limiting some elements of fun so you can maybe work and bring in some more cash. So your personal cash flow, the incoming money, and your friends, fun, romance and children are linked. So it's about setting new boundaries or reestablishing, what is truly important for you and what you would like to be long-lasting in those two topics or two areas of your world. Sagittarius, your 4th house of home and family, and your 1st house of you. Okay, so this is about reestablishing your wants and your needs around family to make them supportive of you. Saturn has been transiting your 1st house and your sign for a couple of years now. So this restructuring process is something that has been more of a long-term situation for you, with Venus triggering that this month in particular. It's about your home zone as well, your domestic scene, the people that you're living with. Or maybe you just also want to attack some projects around the house to make your house a little bit more prettier or livable, or some of those projects that sometimes get left behind when we're super busy. Capricorn, so this is triggering your 3rd house of rituals, communication, and the way that you sort of verbally express yourself, and siblings too. And your 12th house. And so you've been in the process long term of sort of reestablishing and reworking some of your own personal philosophies. And so maybe you want to communicate this in some way. tell maybe siblings that this is the new me right now. Perhaps you may want to also explore some books and some levels of learning or teaching even. You may also want to travel a little bit around your local town or your local area. Take some more trips that will help to maybe like some weekend workshops or learning a little bit about yourself and your private space through workshops, reading or connecting or communicating your new philosophies as well. Aquarius, so this is triggering your 11th house of friends as well as your 2nd house of money. So a little bit like the Taurians, you've got a similar theme where your friends or your social circle or any sort of industry networking and stuff like that and your 2nd house of money are linked. Okay, so it might be about doing the extra hard yards in your at work or with your work community or your social community, even social networks at all levels in real life and online. That might be a key to a little bit more income for you. Pisces, it's about yourself with Venus there in your sign and your 10th house of career. So a big part of this for you is, what do I need to change about myself that is congruent to the desires and the long-term goals that I have with my work? So it might be sort of restructuring things, saying no, so you can say no to the little things so you can deal with the bigger things. Because throughout this period of Venus backtracking through your zodiac a little bit, your attitudes, your habits, your body, your appearance might have taken a little bit of adjustment as well, and you might have switched things up a little bit. And this would be all in order to support or to make changes and adjustments in your career. Okay, so that's all in play for the most part till the end of the month. So I do hope that that's given you a little bit of insight to why you may be feeling the way that you are, and also to help you navigate the astrological weather of the moment. So until next time, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you again really, really soon.